happening due to global impact of corona. We have all the countries in lockdown, extended lockdown: US, UK, France, India, and that's making people work from home. And suddenly what was a trend has become 100%. For some companies and some category of employees, work from home was an option, but now it has become a imperative. So 100% of the people are from work from home. So I would like to know from you, in your companies, how many employees were work from home? Since our poll is not working at the moment, can every one of you just chat the percentage of employees in your company who were before March 2020 doing work from home? So Paramjit, let me know when, after 15
Sure,
to 20
sure,
seconds when people have entered their responses.
sure. So I can see the responses of 15, 16 out of 24. So the trends are already there. I think 71% of the people are saying less than 10%. So there were less than 10% people who were working from home prior to March 2020.
So sure. I think that brings, suddenly from 10 we are gone to 100, and would that have
Yeah.
happened naturally? Very difficult in normal course. So this has obviously implications which we will deal. And how are everyone coping up? Paramjit, any questions that come to your mind?
Uh, I think initially there was a state of being lost. There was some people had technical issues. I would also say cultural issues, space issues. So once people accepted that while this is going to be the way of life going forward, and pressure from workplace, so I think slowly people started adjusting to the new way of working, and I
Super.
think, yeah.
So let's move to what is the current business reality quickly. So the current reality is sales are down, and actually it's not down. I think it's close to zero for most of the under 10% for most of the sectors, except the essential sectors, or sectors which are essential like food, medicine. Most of the other sectors, even essential sectors which are earlier essential like petrol, they're down. Um, so it's different. I think most of the companies are in survival mode, and only essential costs are borne. And there's also a trend of a lot of forced engagement of employees to justify their presence. So like for example, I've been receiving a lot of bank calls from bank relationship managers that FD rates are going down, and would I like to make an FD? And I don't think this is the right moment to sell that thing. And uh, I think they need to relook in terms of the way they're approaching. It's important. And sometimes different other department people are pulled in. As a short term measure, it is good, as we all have to unite to the challenge, but it should be focused and we should relook at it. And the other thing is, no one seems to have an answer and to the future, and that's a reality. So this reality is, I think, one of the things that has happened in work from home is, everyone talks about multitasking, but and we all have used multitasking in office. But when we do work from home, that is a different level of multitasking. Like we are attending a conference call while vegetables are cooking on the gas stove. So the definition of multitasking has changed, and also the line between work and home has blurred, because there's a reset opportunity not only for us as individuals or businesses, but also for the complete planet. Coming, I think what's happening is, with this reset opportunity, there is the way we are looking at things around us, which is, it could be transport, health, or our purpose or meaning of work, that is changing. And because that is changing, that also means that our approach to the way we are going to do things, not only now but later, would be changing. For example, if you're using Uber or Ola, uh, I'm not sure, a lot of people might rethink about doing pool sharing after the social distancing comes in place. So any one of you would like to share your experience of reset, about how has reset impacted you as an individual or your company?
Hello, everybody. Am I audible?
Yes, yes. Please speak
My
your
name
name.
is Ramesh Global. I come from Deloitte. That's
Yes.
Delcure Life Sciences. I'm working as a head training and development. It has impacted pharmaceutical companies because ours is a person-to-person selling,
Right.
and what they are not allowing, rather they are not even practicing. They have restricted their patient. They are going online to 4 and 5.
Hmm.
My entire field force of approximately 1,800 people
Yeah.
are sitting at home confused what needs to be done. Has impacted us very badly because no movement of medicine is happening. Intra-state transport now it is being lifted, but really we were taken aback with this all these things. That's it.
Yeah, I think that's very important, and I'll just share also a couple of other examples. But before that, anyone else would like to share how they are responding who in similar situations?
Hi Sandeep,
Hi.
Arvind Sukija.
Hi, Arvind.
How are you?
I'm very good. Welcome.
Such a pleasure to be with you
Always.
always. Okay, I work for L'Oreal, and at L'Oreal, we are looking at as a fresh beginning.
Yes.
We sell it, to all India, even if we talk about globe as well.
Hmm.
So what we are looking at as as a new beginning and a new set to be developed and looked into that. So what first thing is that what we can give back to the society.
Yeah.
So across the globe, we have converted our plants into sanitizer plants. We
Hmm.
never made anything out of beauty, but we
Yeah.
are manufacturing sanitizers. So
Hmm.
we are manufacturing sanitizers to donate, not to sell.
Yeah.
So we are doing in India also we did that. Globally also we are doing that. One thing
Hmm.
is that. The other thing is that we are upskilling our people.
Hmm.
So whenever work on the field, they should be ready to go and meet the demands of the people.
Yeah.
We understand that the challenge which is there is it would not be conducive. It would be more of personal touch and personal feel in terms of understanding the people,
Yeah.
especially traders. So we are preparing our people for that.
So I think that's quite positive because it's important because if we keep on doing something that I'll focus little later on the session is that if we keep on doing the same things when the lockdown ends, we would not, because the same things will not give the same results. So we need to invest time now so that we are ready to execute when the opportunities are coming, because they will come when these things are sorted, at least in some manner. Because Uh, sure. Thanks, Arvind, for sharing your story in terms of how you're donating sanitizers and also upskilling the people, doing both the things simultaneously. Anyone else would like to share before we move forward?
Good evening, Sandeep. This is Yogesh Gupte. I
Hi,
lead
Yogesh.
human capital team with UA Brands,
Yeah.
it's located in Pune. So we are a captive, for a US, firm which produces uniforms for healthcare, frontline workers. So
Right.
one of the biggest challenges that we faced, with our India employees, vis-a-vis, the expectation setting with the US folks is when we talk about the Indian culture or Indian employees at large, we are very work is very relationship based, whereas when it comes to our US counterparts, it's very task oriented.
Yeah.
So the biggest challenges that we've faced, or rather we've been facing for last month, is to make our folks in US aware that we'll have to go slow, make sure that we be empathetic to people. This
Yeah.
is a new, everybody needs to get accustomed, and I think so far we've been able to set the expectations quite well.
So actually, thanks, Yogesh, for sharing this. And later in the webinar, I'll be sharing with you what is the most important thing. Because at this point, I think employees are searching for meaning at work, and I'll just share with you later in the webinar how we can do. And thanks, I think, everyone for sharing that. So taking that forward, so these are the four things that I'll be focusing on. Why engagement matters, especially now. Why do we? What do we see happening? So sharing some of the research findings that I've been seeing from different people, and what can we do about it. And also in the end, uh, sharing a brief overview on group coaching and how that is engagement in action. And that could be one of the solutions. There could be different solutions. And just to inform everyone, uh, as part of this webinar, the whole objective is post this, we put a community where people can share with each other, because it's important that the best practices are shared and discussion can happen. And I think I've made for corporates so that they can exchange ideas and cross pollinate, because we have people from variety of companies like Raymond, L'Oreal, Dabur, so variety of companies. So we can help each other and act as a sounding board. And I think people who know me, because I run another WhatsApp coaching group, know that it's a very focused group, and people generally benefit. So let's move forward. And before we move forward, I want to start with why. Why does it matter that even we discuss right now employee engagement? Because there are so many matters of life and death which are being talked. Because if you switch on news, it's all about life and death. And how we all, I think, today when we are in this webinar, we are very blessed that we are all are in a position to discuss issues like employee engagement. I mean, this is not true of a lot of people. So keeping that in mind, I'm quite happy to be doing this webinar, and I hope you all are safe and in good spirits. And everything is looking dark, but I think there's light at the end of the tunnel. People have given different options. Some people say in 2 months vaccine will come, some people say 18 months. Life will change fundamentally, and it will take time. But I think important thing is, once the lockdown is opened, and if we do the same thing, we'll not be successful. And I think we need to do things differently. Like Arvind, you shared about, when things are down, you're upskilling the people, or Yogesh, like you said, about driving empathy. I think those are important things that we need to develop right now, and we need to prepare for it so that we are ready to execute when the opportunity comes. And
if I can just come in here,
yeah.
Sandeep. So like one of the clients, as we were discussing, a very pertinent statement. He says that, it's not a normal holiday or a vacation, which a lot of us are used to in a normal working environment, that, we go for a 2-week break, we come back and we restart. Now when we restart, I think there would be a lot of things which would not be there, or there are a lot of things which we need to do. Like, he shared the example of L'Oreal, that, from beauty products, it has gone to making sanitizers. So obviously the focus has changed. So I think, as you rightly said, that, there is always a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things that in these times we have to focus on is that, things that we need to focus on is how do we innovate, because things will be changing. And so innovation is key. And why I'm raising this point is because this employee engagement is not a nice thing or something, because we put it, and right now revenues are down, everyone is pretty shaky, and to invest in it. I think innovation is not necessarily about how we end with the customers. We also need to innovate in terms of the way we are doing things internally, so that we are able to better serve our customers or even our internal employees, whichever way we look at it. And I think that is the important case, that the employee engagement will drive innovation, and that in turn will drive customer engagement. And for that, we need to start working now. So Paramjit, would you just like to share the example that we were?
Yeah, I was just thinking that, what we were discussing this morning, Mr. Anand Mahendra sharing the example, tweeting the driver, who's already converted his e-rickshaw, in preparation that once this lockdown opens, there are going to be social distancing norms in place. So he's already, with limited means, it's not the means, it's the thought process. He's already converted his e-rickshaw into partitions. So there's a different partition for driver, there are different partitions for passengers. And it's so amazing that, somebody at that level can think about it. Forget about our employees. Most of them are educated and, are professionals. I mean, somebody who's driving is very, very unexpected from that kind of level. And guess what? He got an offer from Mr. Mahendra. He's welcome to join our R&D team. So I think that's the power of the idea or the innovation, which is very, very important, or more amplified in these times. We should. I mean, innovation is not hierarchical. It can just come from anywhere, provided we are willing to open and just kind of.
I think innovation is not necessarily in terms of the way you structure the product. It could be the way you deliver services, the way you handle supply chain.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, would any one of you would want to share the experience and how you're responding in terms of the way you're accessing customers, or the way you're supplying stuff to them, or you're addressing their needs?
I'll take a lead in this. Basically, in our Western zone,
Right.
created e-pamphlets and given their numbers to that, and they are calling the retailers and taking the orders. So-
Yeah. Can you just say your name? Sorry, because
Arvind Sukija.
yeah, Arvind. Yeah, Arvind. Yeah.
So that has immediately got the response, and people started getting orders. Like you said, it's the light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
So people are creating those instances, and that led to another zone. One zone practiced it, then another zone started practicing it, and the light got spreading.
Yeah, and that opens up, and the moment you start thinking of innovative, I just heard this example of a restaurant restaurant chain in Bangalore that's closed. So the restaurant is closed, they can't deliver, okay, and the delivery is not allowed. And guess what? So the owner actually what they did was, he said basically he's looking at two things. So one is he got his chefs, and they started making videos of the way make their recipes. So they started engaging with the customers. And second is that he said, all my spices that go into the product, is quite a popular chain, they have started branding it and selling it. So a fresh vertical has come because of this crisis.
Yeah.
So
And even similar story comes from holiday in Calcutta. So they have started doing home deliveries for the morning breakfast, lunch, and
wow. So I think that,
May I?
yes.
In case of pharmaceutical, what we have done, we have been sending the link, like Zoom meeting we are having right now, webinar.
Right.
We started a specific topic for a specific specialty. So for example, orthopedic specialty I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And they are not able to reach their customer is not able to. So we provided them the platform so that we can serve their customer digitally. At the same time, if the customer, patients, they are finding it difficult to get the medicine, my field force today, media, to provide the medicine written by the customer, written by the doctor, to give it to the was unimaginable before. So that's how we are having a strategic working plan for the same business which we were doing earlier with the help of chemists and other things. So doctors and patients, now we are serving the doctor, we are serving the patient. That way we are with our business.
And because of this crisis, it must have got compressed very quickly. It would have got rolled out.
Yeah, that's happened very fast.
Yeah, so I think that's also one of the bigger things, that this opportunity also, this crisis gives us an opportunity to build verticals very fast, or roll out new ways of doing business. If not,
hi Sandeep, this is Birinder Rana.
Hi
from
Birinder.
Dabur.
Good evening.
Yeah, hi, good evening, Ramjit. So I think, as they say, the bad times brings the best out of individuals.
Yes.
I remember running through different CFTs for months to bring a product to life. And, in the last 1 month, we at Dabur, it took us 6 days to bring sanitizer to the market. It has taken my team 15 days to bring healthcare juices to the market, Giloy and Neem and Tulsi, because immunity is the biggest essence right now.
Right.
So I think we have come out of the silos and really working as a team, not being in front of each other. So I think people have gone. Yep.
So Virender, very valid. I was specifically impressed by that packaging, making a kind of a hamper for all these products put together. Having a
The immunity
Chyawanprash.
pack.
Yeah,
You mean the
immunity pack.
Yes.
That I think is one of the best innovations. I've not seen any other FMCG doing it.
Yeah. No, we are rejigging portfolio because you can't, live in the times. I don't think so. I can go and sell shampoo and oil at this point in time because the
Yeah.
necessities for saving us. So prevention is better than cure is what I keep telling my team, and we are
Absolutely. Yeah.
working.
And I think that's also important that so there are two things. I think one is that you have looked at what is the immediate pain point in the over the next 60, 90 days for the client and how fast can you respond to that.
Yeah.
At the same time, I think it also builds a long-term value that the company did this in the event when we needed it. The same thing what Arvind also shared about the sanitizer and other things. When the clients needed it, you were there.
Yeah, absolutely,
Absolutely.
Sandeep. So let me do my timekeeper's job.
Yeah, super. So let's thanks Paramjeet for this and thanks Vrinder for sharing it. So let's move forward. So I'll be sharing some research in terms of how are the employees doing, how they are satisfied with their firms, and other things about what are employees thinking at the moment on the response from the companies. And this is a research done by Effectory. It's latest research. It's global, but it is across countries and across gender and across age groups and across management levels. So it has a lot of credence. So 75% of the people are satisfied with how their firms have handled COVID-19. 71% are confident about their future. That is, the employees are confident that the firm's future is fine. And I think that's also important. And this one part is very good. I think the 84% of the employees think that they have been enabled to do their job remotely. And I think in this whole crisis, companies and in particular, like one of my friends was telling, the IT departments have responded really well in short frame. So normally IT departments get a lot of flack, but I think here they've done very well. So this is what the companies have done as per the employees. But let's look at the other way on how effective do employees think when they work from home? How are they? So before that, I would just want Paramjit, can you just trigger the poll on the next question?
Sandeep, poll has to be
Okay.
triggered by you only. So
Okay, super.
I'm stuck on the first one. So
no issue.
You are Sandeep.
Yes.
70% are saying that. I mean, the response is that 60 to 70% employees have been able to effectively work from home.
Yeah. So I think that also is what the survey shows. It's pretty close. So 66% of the employees feel that they're able to effectively work from home, and I think so. At one level, this looks low because that means 34% employees are not able to effectively work from home. But I think the stage of crisis that we are in, actually, this is a good number that they are able to work from home, and I think we should give credit. I think one of the reasons why this is little low is that there's a lot of distraction because a lot of employees along with the work, not only they're working from home, but they also have a lot of distractions. So if you're familiar with the Maslow's hierarchy, what it basically means is that on health and basic job or roof over the house, those concerns are there. So this can be improved over a period of time. So that means that what our participants are feeling in the survey is broadly in line. So what's happening? I think the plus point that is happening is that there is higher team cohesion across. The way things are, I think everyone wants to put their best foot forward. And that's getting reflected in the companies being able to respond. So companies which are by legally not able to participate, but most of the other companies, they are responding. And companies which are not having direct customer contact, they're also looking at how they can participate to enhance the level of interaction and service, because I think it's very important at this point to engage the customer. It's not only employee engagement, but customer engagement, which is important. The other trend that is coming is the company rules are up for review. because things are very dynamic, and every day things change. What is in the morning, in the evening, it is very different. So company rules are up for review, and I think lot of the, I would not say the bigger rules, but a lot of smaller rules are getting, because earlier company had 10 offices with 1,000 employees. Now companies have 1,000 offices with 1,000 employees. So obviously the rules are made with something in mind, and the situation is different. So some of the rules may need to relook. And I think some of the good companies, what they are doing is they are, based on the feedback from employees, they are course correcting their rules very rapidly. The other thing I covered was around distractions at home. I think there are two things which are happening. So remote, if you work from remote from office, earlier, like as our group, 10% people had worked remotely. So when you work remote, the employee engagement reduces. At the same time, there are physical distractions. So both are taking the trend up. Last one is important, I think. So there are unclear expectations. So I think while a lot of people are working, but the boundary of work and home is getting blurred, and uh, expectations are dynamic. So that is leading to some unclear expectations. Paramjit, would you want to add a point or two here?
Yeah, so like companies or customers or employees, I mean, even if you look at the way government is reacting, I mean, there is some notification which come in the morning, and then by afternoon it is changed. So the most recent I shared, Sandeep, with you is that
Yeah.
government said that factories can start producing, but when we spoke to our clients, they say, hey, we are not doing it because there's a kind of a perception that in case somebody is caught positive, the owner can be arrested, and then the government has to clarify that no, that is misunderstood. So I'm saying at a government level, if it is happening, I mean, no surprises if employees are also unclear about the expectations, because the things are changing so dynamically. Possibly every hour.
So let's look at what companies can do in this current environment. I think there are three things that the companies can do. First is they can adjust their mindset. I think when by adjusting mindset is they need to be kind and empathy, like Yogesh earlier was sharing, that empathy is very important. Second is they need to be, so because the way we treat both not only our employees but our customers in this point, we will be remembered by that, and a lot of reputations get built up. So the reputations don't get built up in bad times, but they get built up in challenging times. And I think Tata Group is a good example. Second is clarity on level of productivity from work from home. That's important. We need to have metrics and also understand what is the right way. Hopefully that clarity will come. So we need to be clear as an organization on the level of productivity we can expect from employees. Second is on long-term mentality, because this is not a 2 months or a, 3 months or a 2 quarters thing. It's a long-term mentality. Mindset is going to change with this environment, and we also need to adapt, because if we don't adapt, it will impact us. This I've already shared in terms of, I think, connecting your people. The most important thing was, which the companies have already done, is to enable individuals. And so the research is there, but I think most of you would agree with that. It helps employees be more productive. These are just percentages, but main thing is about productivity, about the way we interact and support our clients, and able to collaborate internally and externally. Enablement helps, and I think having structured SOPs around it and providing the resources can make a big difference.
Yeah, like I was Sandeep, I was sharing with one of the clients story that the IT person shared with us. In normal times, their recognition was not that much recognized, but in these times, it's so amplified. I mean,
Yeah.
He shared that he has to go with the phone in his washroom because he can get a SOS call from anyone.
Sure.
So
Well, thanks, Arunjit. So let's just move forward around this. And the third one is most important. I think it's about offering perspective and purpose, because what's happening is that the industries are getting disrupted. So, so everyone will have to change and to be relevant. For example, examples like travel, tourism, they'll have to reinvent themselves or readapt to be relevant in the short to medium term. So unless you are in some business like hand sanitizer or face mask making business, that's a different story. Uh, but I think even those businesses and businesses which are doing well, some of the businesses are doing well. They also are looking at how do they build for a tomorrow, getting the perspective and purpose. So one of my clients, Keto, which is the largest crowdsourcing platform in the country, they have had their best month since their inception over the last 8 years. This April they plan to have, and they already have done that, but I think April is still to end, so they'll do quite well. But even they are not being complacent. They are working on how they can do better, how they can reinvent themselves. uh, and what happens when you give perspective, I think what happens when you give perspective and purpose to people, and I will work quickly, cover this up. One is people are more confident about the future, and once people are more confident, I think once people are confident, they are able to contribute to the company. Their state of mind is more at peace, there's less anxiety, and they, and when they contribute, obviously the innovation happens, and innovation is critical for the companies. And the second point is not really relevant in the immediate short medium term, but there has long term implications, is that if you give purpose to the employees, there is a higher employee net promoter score, and this directly translates to an employer brand, because at some point when things turn around, you'll have a better employer brand than when you started. So perspective and purpose, uh, this so I think one of the good examples is this. If you have time, there's this 48-minute conversation between Krishna and Arjun, and where he's in the battlefield, and he has the skill, but he just doesn't have the perspective at that point of time. What does this picture tell you? If you could just quickly, if somebody has a comment, they can type.
I think it should not be difficult because it's being replayed nowadays. So
I think so. So it's about guiding and empowerment to Arjun. I think that's what Ramesh said, guiding, and I think it's empowerment. And Ashima shared meaningful conversation. I think yes. So it is about perspective. I think that point, Krishna just gave him the perspective, and it's and just so one is that Bhagavad Gita is not a religious text. I think this is the original self-help manual. So if people have time, I would recommend that they should read it. And uh, and the other thing that we need to take from this conversation, just a 48-minute conversation, is, which is pertaining to employee engagement, is connect and engage. So first, Krishna connected to Arjun and then engaged him. So actually, Bhagavad Gita doesn't start from first chapter; it starts from the second chapter middle. Okay, so connect and engage is the other thing. And I think in these times, the third lesson is that we need to connect with self before we can connect with others. So as a leader, I think it's important that we connect with self. And that's one of the things actually we focus on group coaching also, which I'll cover later, is about why it's important to have a daily journal. Because when you connect with self, then you can connect with others. Once you connect with others, then you can engage others. Now this is fine, purpose and all, but this is like a 5,000-year-old story. But now I'm going to share some cutting edge research where there has been done about how meaning at work translates into business impact. So I'll just share that with you before we get into so this Tammy Erickson, she is the world's leading authority on finding meaning at workplace. She is, and what she says is, I'll just briefly tell you, and you can read it later. What she's saying is that, right now what's happening because we are in the remote workplaces, so employees are less visible and they are more distracted. And because they are less visible, they are far off, and they're not in offices. So we are in an environment where employees are working with less guidance from hierarchy. And that means and they're working because so that they simplify the interactions with the hierarchy. And that means that the employees have to really work that extra hard to make a difference. So how would a person, so what she has done is, and I'll come to it in the next slide, what she's done is she said that companies, can create a context. Okay, what is the situation, what can be done, but there is, and employees can come and do their work, but there is a discretionary effort, that additional bit that a employee can contribute, that can make all the difference. And that discretionary effort will come only if the employees find that there is a strength in the purpose and there's meaning at work. And once they find that, then the employees will be motivated to do what they have to do by themselves. Because in these situations, it's not only that the leadership is top down, but employees need to step up, and step up will happen from within. It can't happen top down, it has to come bottoms up. So that is it. And what she says is that 9 out of 10 people actually are looking at, so this is a HBR research that she did, which basically found out that 9 out of 10 people, they are looking for meaning at work. And she also did 2 other things around the business impact of how meaning gets translated into productivity and compensation. So Paramjit, can you just put a poll, 2 questions, which I would just ask everyone to participate?
Sure. Here it is. Yeah, so the poll is on. What percentage of employees would like to have meaning at work? What's your opinion? So, like, if you could find a job that offered you consistent meaning, how much of your salary would you be willing to forego?
Yeah.
So almost everyone said, or 60% of the people said 10%.
Okay, sure. So I'll tell you what she found out. So this is the study that found out. She found out 23%. So individuals, if they find a job that offered them consistent meaning, 23% of the salary they would be willing to forego. And I think that is also a function of, I think, because they did it across age groups, because the younger age groups nowadays, they are wanting to find purpose. So if you ask anyone, sub 26, 28, they are willing to find purpose and willing to do work for that. So yeah, so I got the thing. So 23% is what she found. I think so our group found 10. And the second thing what she did was that she tracked these employees and what is the productivity gains that these employees had vis-a-vis other people. So they were found to be 26% more productive. So what happens is that, so if we provide meaning at work, so this is the business case, that employees are willing, they are willing, compensation is lesser of an issue for them. The percentage could vary. And second is they are 26% more productive. Why I wanted to share was because a lot of times the thing about meaning and purpose, it is very abstract. So this is some research which has really gone into business and tracked it and got the results. And just to tell you what is how big is this number, 23%, is that if you were to structure any compensation, at work for any company, typically 20% of the gross salary goes to housing, whether it's HRA or it is housing EMI. So, so people are willing to equate meaning at work with the housing component as per them. But even at 10% is quite high. That means somebody is willing to forego cash for better meaning at work. And along with that, they are also willing to be more productive for the company. So that's the business case around it. Finding meaning at work through group coaching. So some of the things that we do, I think so I'm just sharing some 4 things, just a sample. One is in today's time, which you can apply. It can be done through group coaching or you can apply also. I think one is about telling 5 stories at once. Typically, we are focusing on, so I think first is about companies, they are focused around company stories, turnaround or what is their vision around them as a company. I think it's also important to have the communication around what they plan to do for customers, your teams and individual employees, because I think these stories can make a big difference and they can have purpose behind it. And personally, so whenever you're communicating in the immediate, pick up those stories and amplify it across the organization. That is direct benefit. In fact, actually, 3 days back, I had some experience with Bosch, and their frontline, one of the employees helped us with something on the washing machine side. Our washing machine was down, and there was a big pile of clothes. We did not know what to do. And he picked up the phone, explained it patiently, and we don't have a service contract with Bosch. And actually, I told them, and I think they're trying to make a movie around that person, because I think so. His name was Mayur. So I think it's important to find our Mayurs and celebrate them. So I think this time is right to communicate all the stories around these things. Second is in terms of role clarity. I think it's important that why is the job important to the business? The individuals who are working in your company, they should be clear about why is the job important to your business, and the job we should look at from more in terms of output rather than input. So these are some of the things that we do on group coaching in terms of help the people around role clarity, telling their stories.
So if I can come here, Sandeep,
Yeah.
On role clarity, like, I think Arvind, Ramesh shared that in L'Oreal, I mean, look at the change in mindset of a whose JD says that you're supposed to be selling beauty products, and suddenly he's told, okay, now you have to be doing charity and spreading the sanitizers. So the traditional JDs which people have been hired are out of the window. It's a dynamic situation. Every hour it is changing, and if what we were discussing is if people find meaning, they won't have an issue in switching over to different things.
So that makes me, before I go to the third one, I'll just go directly to the fourth, adding on to what you said about connecting roles to a higher purpose. I think so. People are, we need to see what is a higher purpose, and actually that's up to us as managers to take that. Lot of times, we just go at the first level. Like, for example, to give an example, performance feedback. So when we look at, say, somebody is doing a performance feedback, so we'll say, what is a performance feedback? So I'm giving my team members feedback about performance and improvement, which is logically right. But so if we go deeper and deeper, so why it is that? So I'm just sharing a real life thing. I was discussing with somebody, like one of the participants in one of our groups. So he said, so that we can build a better software. Then I said, okay, then why that? So he said, so that we can help our customers become more efficient. I said, okay, then but why would you want that? What happens because of that? He said, so that they are free to be creative and productive, so that they can go and spend more time with the family. That's a larger purpose. The purpose is not to just do feedback about performance and improvement. It's about finding the larger purpose. So this was one example. Second is, I think it's also about allowing people to write their own outcomes. While organizations are there, we have frameworks. It's important that we create the freedom within the framework. So what we found in the group coaching engagements is where we get people to tell what they want to do. They are what they want to achieve. They are actually more harder on themselves. They expand themselves. And while we found it by doing it, actually there is a research also. If from you, I would recommend you, if so, there is this Nobel Prize winner called Daniel Kahneman. He's written the book Think Fast, Think Slow. Wonderful book. And they did an experiment where they assigned randomly lottery tickets to people. Okay, and so some people were assigned printed lottery tickets, and some people were told that, so printed lottery tickets with the numbers, and some people were told, listen, this is a paper, you can write your number, the number that you would want, and then we'll put both the lottery ticket and take out a draw or the winning ticket. So before, so they did this experiment. So one set of people got a printed tickets, another set of people got the blank pages, blank printed papers where they had to write the lottery number. And then the team was to assign, draw the winning ticket. So before drawing the winning ticket, they said, listen, what we've decided is we have decided that we plan to buy back all the tickets. Yeah. And so guess what happened was that when they're buying tickets from both set of people, they had to pay 5 times higher to buy the tickets from the people who had written on a blank piece of paper the number that they have, vis-a-vis the printed tickets that were distributed. So what I'm saying is, it is important that you get them to make a choice and get them to define their outcomes. Yeah. So this is there, I think. So these 4 things, what is some of the things that we were doing. I just wanted to give about how we do meaning at work in the group coaching assignments that we do. In the current reality, when we do group coaching, what we are looking at is, we are looking at human touch, personal growth, peer-to-peer learning. I think this is a very big thing. And just like today, by hearing from each one of you from different industries, we've learned so much. So that peer-to-peer learning, even within the same company, a lot of new vistas open up. 4th thing is about scalability, whether the thing is scalable, and obviously cost effective. These are the 5 tenets that we have got when we devised group coaching. I'll quickly take you through an overview. And then if you have questions on either on the engagement side or on the group coaching side, please feel free, and I'll try to answer. If I can answer now, or if I have to answer offline, I'll let you know. So these are the 5 things, and don't worry, these just 5 slides, so they'll get over. But so what is group coaching? So this is just an overview, and this deck will be with you, so you can review it later. So group coaching, what it basically group coaching does is, it's get a set of people who come together, getting them to deepen their awareness, getting them to self-reflect, self-discovery, take decision, create action, and do action. Because both are important. So this is what group coaching is in a nutshell. So if you look at it, you've got a set of engaged employees and who are looking at doing something which is action oriented, which could have either a business or a personal impact. So when I share a live case study, I'll share how does that translate into the scoping of the work. Some of the benefits that I've covered, and these benefits will also come in the actual benefits that on a study that we did on group coaching with our live participants. So these are some of the themes that you can look at when you're using for group coaching. I think on business development, leadership, career development, and personal development. So this is our methodology in terms of what we have developed in terms of how to execute a group coaching project. It starts from content and goes to context, setting the context, connecting with the individual, getting the commitment, coaching, and congratulating, because a lot of times it's also important about celebrating the success. And then there's a loop that goes on. And the real game changer actually is the 10-30-90 rule that we follow. And I'll just let you know. So what it does is, we realize that it's important that we have a human touch and we have a tech touch. So tech is only for enabling, and human touch is the main thing. In this 10-30-90, so we have group coaching sessions twice a month, and that is backed by a 30-minute weekly self-reflection session that they have with themselves, and a 10-minute daily journal that they write. And this is a set of guided questions so that it's easy, and these questions have been tested. We can modify the questions, but broadly these questions set the momentum in terms of anxiety, goal setting, and also about setting the mood for the next day. That's important. So, and to give you a simple example of this 10-30-90 rule, see, as individuals, I think, see, we go to dentist for checkup, and we also go and brush our teeth daily. Both are important, but when we do both together, they become very powerful. So, when they come to group coaching sessions twice a month, that's more like a dentist checkup where we facilitate. But the daily brushing is what happens through the tech enablement, which is about journal setting, and the reflective weekly exercises that they have. So this is a real life case study that we did. What we did here was we took a FMCG major and we worked with them over a period of 4 months. We covered 252 employees of theirs spread over all India, and we had the same 10-30-90 rule applied. And this was done over the phone because the client had challenges whether people will be able to access internet and other things. So phone was more handy, so we did over phone. And this focused on, a lot of times we do performance coaching. A lot of companies do performance coaching. This is actually developmental coaching. And I will come to that when I show the scoping, because performance coaching is you're just telling about some business KRA and getting it done. So the element of personal development is not there, or they developing other people. So what we covered in these, so we covered 250 participants over 4 months. So this is the holistic approach we followed. So there was a personal impact, there was a business impact. In addition to that, they also did coaching of their team members. So all these things were there. And so net what happened was, a lot of times once you make headways, business, when you do well, obviously there's an impact. But when you do well on the personal side, that gets reflected on the business impact also. Like people picked up morning walk, people went on gyms, people set their financials in order. So those had direct impact on the way their business attitude also was impacting. So these were the 4 things we covered over 4 months. These are the results that came out. So they did substantial progress. I think one particular thing I want to highlight in this is peer-to-peer learning. So 82% of the participants experience peer-to-peer learning. And that's very important because with peer-to-peer learning, it's difficult to do, but that is the best, and that helps you because you get learning from people who are in your similar situation like you, and they, just like Krishan and Arjun. See, sometimes we have our goals and we are thinking in one direction, and what other people also think in the same direction, but they might be having a different perspective. Sometimes we just need a perspective, and that peer-to-peer learning helps in a significant manner. I think somebody asked for the 10-20-90 formula. I think I explained, but I'll be happy to explain later. Okay, this is the tech enablement, how we do. So we've set up a coaching portal. What it does is that all the tech enablement happens here, and it's, I would like to say, while it's quite robust, the whole focus of making this is because I've done 8 years of coaching. I've been doing coaching for the last 8 years. The whole thing is to support the human touch. It is not for this to overshadow the human touch. So it's a mix. So this and everything is in one place, so it's easy to handle, and it has just the right mix of enablement and the environment to make people effective. That's, yeah, and how we can partner. I think so. In case if any one of you are looking at starting a group coaching internally, you can let us know. And either you can engage with us or we can help you train and develop internal coaches. Both sides are possible with us. And good thing is the lead time is just 10 days and it can be done in the existing lockdown scenario, because we have done already virtually. Even when the things are well, we have done it virtually. That's the nature of this thing.
Pinak.
Yeah. And that's about it from me. And some of the clients that we have worked with previously. And any questions you have, you can unmute and ask. Happy to answer that.
You can also put in a message. So whichever
Yes, whichever you're comfortable with.
Hi Sandeep, this is Shailesh Lambe here.
Hi Shailesh.
So my question is, what are the challenges that we face during group coaching, and especially if it is group coaching?
What are the challenges? I think number one is that when we do with companies, we have to in addition to what I shared, I think we need to come up with what is our coaching intent, because a lot of times when participants are doing it, they think it's a performance review, And actually, this is not a performance review, it is developmental review. That's number one. Second thing is we need to connect and engage. So first the connect has to be there, and for the connect, making the safe environment where people open up, because they have to open up before we can connect with them. It's like an open heart surgery, so they need to open up. So as a coach, we need to create that safe environment. Third is that, as with any journey, what happens is that people sometimes it becomes a challenge to pick up a habit, there as a coach can help, or somebody peers can help. That is one of the challenges. Other challenges that could come could be language, because I've had things where language is also an issue. Those can be addressed. And
so can I come in, Sandeep?
yeah,
So
yeah.
I think,
Paramjit, one more point.
Sure.
I
Okay.
think these goals, when we start, they seem bigger. So the whole thing is, how can we make it also smaller in their eyes so that they start working on it and then celebrating it? Yeah, Paramjit.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is, like, it happens in any development or anything, like even performance review. A lot of people as an assessment or a test, right, or a qualifier. So I think it's very important from the leadership to set the communication right, that mental activity, and there are no pass or fails, or so while coaches will do that, but I think if it comes from the leadership, it carries a higher weightage. Yeah.
I think Yogesh is asking what are the tangible benefits of group coaching. So I think the tangible benefits are, A, is that it takes a holistic approach. Your personal impact, personal growth, as well as business growth, both come together. Like you were mentioning about empathy. So the moment they see that the organization is investing in personal development, that also gets translated into their behavior for the extra discretionary effort for achievement of business goals. So both are linked. I think these two are there. And third is about peer-to-peer learning. This is a clear, tangible benefit that happens. And fourth, I would say, is a lot of best practices come. So best practices to handle real life challenges and goals which participants might be facing. So first
Thanks,
they
Sandeep.
open up and then yeah, Yogesh. Did I answer your question?
Yes, Sandeep. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions anyone would have?
Hello,
Yes.
am I audible?
Yes.
Now we are talking about coaching. Fine.
Yeah.
We
Can
have
you
a
just share
digital
name?
medium.
Yeah. Can you just share your name?
Ramesh.
My name is
Hi,
Ramesh.
Ramesh. Hi, Ramesh.
Ramesh Kumar. Hi, how are you?
Yes, fine.
Say, the point is that since keeping our people engaged
Yeah.
on a various pretext, on various activities,
Hmm.
how do I know that they are coming willingly? I think that's the expectation of mine was that when I put it up.
So
It should be happening
Huh.
willingly, not forcefully. When I'm engaging or we are engaging our people across India,
Yes.
sometimes I feel when we are through with the whatever session we had, we have a one-to-one interaction, they come out ki boss क्यों pressurize करते हो? So somewhere I feel forcefully they come.
No. Are you talking about some training session?
About training session, various activities which are related with the training, which are not related with the training also.
Yeah. So here, I think in group coaching, two things happen which are significant. So you want to know that why should they come, or
No, why how do I remove that kind of a hesitation? They should be coming willingly.
Yes.
Okay, here I'm going to get something out of it.
Yes. Okay. So I think first of all, I think it has to be also from an organization standpoint that this is important. A. Second is that what do you want to communicate? I think there are two things. One is about, we are talking about their development. Okay. So organization has to clearly tell it's not only the business development, you are also looking for their personal development, right? Because okay, that's one. Second thing is that we are looking for your own your development. Most of the employees, and quite a few employees, they think that the way the development is structured, the first person to be responsible is the company, then their manager, and then they are there. Okay.
Yeah.
While actually in reality the order is exactly reversed. Right? Because for your self development, who should be more responsible? Self. Now, when this happens, see, when people come, as normal nature is there. One is that as an individual, what happens is that, and there is a psychology behind it. One is that when you come, so you just have an aspirational thing. We will do this thing. After that, nothing is straight line. There are challenges, there are ups and downs. So, is there a support thing to have through that ups and downs? Number one. Okay. So this provides that. Second thing is, when there are ups and downs, okay, then are you having role models who are doing that? Because you need to have role models. So within the group, you have role models. Third is that when you have role models, they both should share also these things. They should open up, right? So that's important about creating the safe environment there, because once people start doing, and in a group, see, once left to yourself, okay, self-development, you can, as a company, you can say, it's self-development, it is your responsibility, end of the story. But see, we are human beings. So I'll give you a very simple example. Let's assume somebody is going to a gym or going for a morning walk. What has a higher probability? So for example, if you have to go for a gym or a morning walk, if you are doing it alone, or if you're doing with two more people.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm asking you, what is the higher probability if you are doing alone, every day you're going alone, or if you're doing with two other people every day?
Going to the gym.
Going to gym or anything. You take morning walk, gym, anything, any habit that you want to develop. So if there is a group,
if it will be with a group, if there are 3-4 people, I'll be much more comfortable and I'll do it repeatedly.
Not only you will be comfortable, and sorry, so yeah, that's exactly one major important point. Other thing is, sometimes they will also be able to drive, and that will be peer level pressure. That is not company level pressure. So that is not forcing. So that is why the nature, when I mean by peer-to-peer learning is also peer-to-peer putting, pressure. That's a positive pressure. Companies forcing to come for training is different, but you going to gym with your peers is very different.
That's a two different aspects.
Yeah. And also, and I'm just sharing with real life coaching engagement how it works is, it's not when people make headway, somebody makes headway, and then sometimes they may fall off after 2-3 weeks, and then they see, so somebody else might have got inspired and the other person continues, then this person who has fallen off, who actually inspired the other person, they go back seeing that person, and that can happen. And that is why it is important that don't leave it for those 2 sessions, okay, in a month. It is important that they have to invest 10 minutes every day thinking about that. Because it is like brushing your teeth. You can't say that I'll go to the dentist for checkup. Dentist, you go for checkup and he will clean your teeth, do root canal and all. But that is not the solution. The right thing is that you brush your teeth daily. That's why, along with the human touch, that 10 minutes is very important. So there we share with them some exercises which they need to do, and simple thing, not more than 10 minutes. They can just do it and get over with it.
So Ramesh, if I can just sum it up with just one this thing, like it's like when we teach young children to brush their teeth, now the choice could be between giving them an Ayurvedic toothpaste or giving them a toothpaste having a sweetener. Now, when they come into the group coaching session and when they start hearing from others, that thing comes from within. So your question that, what motivates them, or, what could be encouraging for them is that they would be addressing their own concerns and not the organization concerns. That's where it differentiates from other developmental
And
markets.
and what happens sometimes is that we also don't anticipate what kind of benefits. Like when we say business and personal impact, like people chose personal, like say morning walk. It's a very difficult habit to start, but once they start, okay, then they will start coming to office with a different energy. Okay, now that energy can't be taught. That is why I'm saying it's engagement in action. So that has to be done, and in a group you have role models that can be created. So we do stuff around that. How do we get people who pick up those habits and then start doing that? And and we do stuff. I think those are the things that we work around actually.
Fine, brother. Fine, Sandeep. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else has any question before we close this?
Hi,
Yeah.
hi, this is Ashima. I had a question.
Yeah, Shiva.
I just wanted to know. So while I understand, it's very important to communicate to employees that how it's going to benefit them, etc. But there are certain employees who are very shy or very hesitant in speaking out.
Yeah.
So how do you get those guys comfortable?
Yeah.
They
Okay.
will most probably not even talk about
Yeah.
what's bothering them.
I think you got a good point actually. So that's very important. The way this coaching is done is that, and actually, if when, for example, especially when it's done remotely, and if somebody says that let's do it on a phone, okay, then so you are even more in the dark with the, like if there are 10 people, 2 people are quiet. So it's important to bring them up, and that way I think it's important for the coach to be very focused to see who else have spoken, because see, in any group what happens is some people tend to dominate the conversation and some people keep quiet. So there's the group coaching also, because when what we do is that to get them open up, we keep a idea that who's speaking, and we use a variety of ways, and one of the ways also, I mean, just to share, is we get them, people say sometimes they might not feel confident about contributing, so once we see that, okay, these are the 2-3 people who have not spoken, then we might ask them to in between summarize what has been spoken, and as they get confident they start contributing, and sometimes they come up with I think once they get confident by the second or third session, then they start putting their point of view, and they put it quite assertively, and I think that's quite effective. But yes, to answer your question, we have to be very conscious about who's speaking, because in these sessions it's very easy that people can keep quiet and work. So we have had those kind of situations, and that's quite common thing actually. Sometimes it could be due to the nature of the person, and sometimes it could be if the group so for example, if I'm doing in English and that person is comfortable in Hindi, or sometimes there could be language issues, maybe not in your organization but some of the other organizations, so we have to be cognizant of that, so we work around that also. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
Anyone else would like to ask any question?
Yeah, Sandeep, this is Raj Bamre here. I have one question for you.
Yes, Raj.
I understand you're running out of time.
No. We have time. I'm just saying that we have time to answer.
Okay. So now we all know, as in the engaged employee is a motivated employee.
Yes.
And as you said, as in if you have a group coaching, I'm sure it's going to improve his engagement levels, his motivation levels, and that's obviously going to help the organization. Yes. Now, coaching, as we understand, so there's something like personal coaching, and this is you were advocating group coaching. Right. I'm sure it also works. But then if you do a coaching, it has to be really intense. You do it for the period of time. How do you, as in once the coaching is done, as in the trainers have moved out, how does the organization ensure the employees who have undergone this coaching, they continue with that? Because I am sure the initial stage, the euphoria is there, the motivation is there, and everybody is very keen to get
the
new ideas implemented.
Yes. Yeah. I think you asked a very valid question, and a lot of companies, they when they ask, they are more focused on how will it work, how effective this is, and how the employees will respond. Actually, the bigger challenge actually is that when the employees are energized, is the organization ready to channelize their energies? Lot
Very
of
right.
time, yeah. So and if they are not able to channelize, it's like riding a tiger. So
Yep.
I would say that it's also important to be future ready, and in that I think what organization can do, I mean, there could be specific things that we can talk. So one of the things what we do is that we in the coaching, two things we do, which are besides the coaching. One is this is not only a coaching exercise for the individual, but this is also an opportunity to do perception changing. Because I think this is the way Raj works, right? So I see that person from that angle. Whatever is with my perception, I will take it. Others, I will skip it, right? So we try some interaction where the perception changes. Otherwise, see, Raj will keep on working, but Sandeep will not keep on acknowledging. So yeah, right. So those are also,
that happens.
see, we are working in a team, na? He's not working with me. So okay, that is one thing. So that is inbuilt in the program, some elements of that. What is other that we inbuilt is that before the engagement gets over, their managers, which are could be HODs or could be the MD, they are told how to carry these things forward. It doesn't take too much time. Basically,
that's very important as well.
How to carry it forward. And it has to be, the thing is that, see, I mean, we don't want to give training and all, because if you give training, so what will happen is, if I tell you 6 C's of speaking, do this or that, you'll forget. So I have to do something which is simple enough for you to be effective. So so what we tell is that as a thing, I think people who are your direct reports, if there's some of the coaching people are your direct reports, in a year, it is as a manager, you're responsible to spend at least 4 times 2 hours with them, 8 hours in a year, which includes appraisal time also. So I'm not saying appraisal is separate, including appraisal time also. So that is one thing. Second thing is that we give you a series of 6 questions to ask. Just those 6 are good enough. They're broadly covered. There could be something else also. Get that. So some best practices we share, which is practical. So which you should do once a month, half an hour, 45 minutes, take with the person and do that. I think those things we tell, because that's very important. You raised a very valid point.
Yeah, I think that will ensure the tempo is maintained and there's some sort of a,
and also you are able to retain the employee, because if the employee wants to contribute and you are not giving a platform to contribute, so what will that employee do?
The organization is not geared up to handle that kind of employee. I'm sure as in he'll probably look move somewhere else.
So it's important that you work with that. I think that's important. So that those elements are built in on that.
I agree.
But thanks for asking this question.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think that answers my question.
Anyone else has any question or anything that?
Yeah, I think we can close because.
I think thanks everyone for being here, taking time on a Saturday evening. Hope I'm happy to help you out, and you got some insights for the time that you invested. Look forward to being in touch. My contact.
And we'll share this deck with you, which has coordinates. So in case of any more questions, or you can always get back. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Thank you both.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.